My son, I wish my son were here. He's somewhere downstairs, but this has a lot to do with him and a pretty lucky hour in my life that had a little bit to do with my son Luke. So when I was, Luke was born in April of 1984, and a couple weeks after that, I took a job down in Newport News, Virginia, at a newspaper. And there were two things that I really wanted to do when I got to the paper. One, I wanted to start a softball team, and two, I wanted to start a card game. Now, I got there in April, a couple of weeks after Luke was born, and the softball season had already started. Wasn't able to start my team, the Typos, until the following year. And but I was able to start a card game. I sent him, put a message on the newsroom wall asking for people to, if they wanted to play, to contact me. 5 or 6 guys came out, said that they'd like to play. So they came over to my house. Luke's mom thought this was a really great idea for her to get out of the house that night. So she left a 4-month-old baby with me and my friends to play poker. We sat Luke in his high chair. He was old enough to sit up. And I said, here is the ground rules. No one should lose more than $20, so this is a nickel, dime, ante game. I'm not hosting this game every month. We're going to rotate the game. And you have to bring whatever you're drinking. I'll provide hot dogs and Coke, and whatever you want to drink, you bring. So Luke is sitting with us at the table. We're having a friendly card game. About 5 or 6 guys come that night, and one guy I'd never met was my friend Larry Miller. Larry was the bureau editor at Williamsburg, which is about 25 miles from where we lived. So he was the last guy to take a turn. And his turn came on the weekend of January 8th, 1985. And he called me up. He knew I was a big music fan. We were usually listening to rhythm and blues or jazz when we had these games. And Larry said, Chuck, do you have any Elvis Presley records? And I said, yeah, I have a couple records. What are we doing? I have an idea for our card game. So I bring my Elvis Presley records up, and Larry has a big poster of Elvis on the wall, and he tells us Elvis would have been 50 this weekend. All of our card games have to have some kind of Elvis Presley reference. Reference a song, reference a movie, make up the game as we go along. So, okay, Larry, sure, that sounds a little crazy. You go first. Okay. Blue suede deuces, blue suede twos, deuces wild, 5-card stud. So we're off and running. We're playing our game, and the game turns pretty hilarious. We're listening to Elvis music the whole night, and we're having a pretty good time. So at the end of the night, we all decided we need to do this again. This was too much fun. So Larry says, fine, next January we'll do it again at my house. So it became an annual card game devoted to Elvis Presley's memory. And we called it the Dead Elvis Society. So after 4 years of this, Larry got a job in Pittsburgh. And we're thinking this is going to be the end of our Elvis Night card game. And Larry said, no, why should we end it? Let's continue this. He was working in Pittsburgh. We were still in Virginia. He says, just drive over to Atlantic City. We'll make a weekend out of it. So for the next 5 years, right, we continued to have our card game, our annual Elvis weekend now, Dead Elvis weekend in Atlantic City. So in 1995, Larry's now living in Oklahoma, and he flies into Philly, and I pick him up at the airport, and we are meeting our friends 5 or 6 o'clock later that day in Atlantic City. And Larry tells me, look, let's go down to the Claridge, play a little bit of blackjack. And he was a very, very good card player, and he probably had about $1,000 in his pocket. But Larry knows I'm not much of a gambler. I like it, but I just don't, I'm kind of risk averse. So I'm probably have about $150 in my pocket, just enough to pay for my hotel bill and our meals. So he says, we'll go to the Claridge, we'll play a $5 table. We're on our way to the Claridge, and here comes Matt Sheeran, one of the guys who lives in New York. He's a big New York Yankee fan. And he passes us, and he says, look, I want to bet, I want to place some bets at the pari-mutuel window, so I'll be over in a couple minutes, sit down, and I have a couple horses I want to play. So we go to the table. Matt comes by. He takes our money. He goes to the window. In the next 10 minutes, I'm playing blackjack with Larry, and I win $250. Can't miss. Aces over, aces, double aces, 2 or 3 times in a row. Matt comes back in 10 minutes, hands me $25. I've got enough money for my weekend. I said, Larry, let's go get lunch. I want to treat you to lunch. Just buy me a slice of pizza. No, that's okay. I really want to have a meal. Let's go to the Irish pub. Now, the Irish pub was a really classy place on Boardwalk and James Street. And the little icon, the little hotel icon from Monopoly is based on the Irish pub. So we sit down to eat, and the table that the guys, me and the other Elvis guys usually sit at is being occupied by 8 guys. And I sit down, Larry orders lunch, and he says to me, Chuck, don't turn around. I think that's Joe DiMaggio behind you. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, that can't be Joe DiMaggio. So I get up very slowly, I turn around, there it is, Mr. Coffee, Joltin' Joe, live and in person with 8 guys sitting around him. I tell my friend Larry, I got to get his autograph from my son. And he says, you can't do that. You can't go up to Joe DiMaggio and just ask for his autograph. He's sitting with people. All right, so how about if I wait until they're gone? Oh, that's fine. If his crowd leaves, then sure, then you can go get his autograph. So we eat lunch. He's with his guys. They're guys in their 30s. Finally, they get up and leave. And I'm thinking, this is perfect. This is my chance. I'm going to go. And just then the hostess comes over and says, Joe, how about that Marilyn Monroe stamp? Now, Joe DiMaggio is married to Marilyn Monroe, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to do this. And just as we're ready to leave the restaurant, she leaves. I go over, I pull out a picture of Luke, my son, dressed as a baseball player. This is his 4th grade picture. I said, Mr. DiMaggio, would you do me the honor of signing this for my son? Now, Joe DiMaggio doesn't like to sign autographs, but he takes a look at Luke's picture and he says, yeah, sure, I'll sign that. What's his name? Luke. To Luke, best wishes, Joe DiMaggio. My friend Matt, the Yankee fan, says, Chuck, if you had got that signed on a baseball, that would have been worth $400. I'll never sell this, but it was the luckiest hour of my life, I'll tell you.
Chuck, everybody.